Steve with SSI. On today's show, it's not going to be about your standard machining project. It's going to be how to replace a rope pull in a lawnmower. Now, everybody's got a neighbor that comes over and bothers them to fix this or that, and sometimes the best answer is, nope, I don't know how to do that. Or sometimes you wish you could do that. Who knows? This is usually a pretty simple procedure. It takes minimal amount of tools, and hopefully what I can show you will make it easier for you to do without having to get swarmed by a spring or anything of that nature. And if anything, it may give you time over in your neighbor's garage so you can get back that cordless drill that he borrowed last October. This is a 6.75 horse Briggs Stratton Intech overhead valve single cylinder push mower engine on a snapper lawnmower. What we have to do first is take off this piece, which is just a cover. Covers the top of the rope pull. Usually just use a standard little flat blade screwdriver. There's a couple of little tangs that you have to pull back on top of this cover. And it'll pull off, and you can set it aside. Now, on snapper mowers, a lot of the times the rope will run around this top little pulley on this grass catcher mechanism. This has to come off so we can get the better access to the fuel tank that's on the back side of this. So I'm going to go ahead and take this off next. Should be just two standard 1/2-inch nuts. Now we have better access because on this side of the fuel tank there is a 3/8 shoulder bolt that goes through the gas tank and helps hold it onto the engine. So right here on top there will be 3 5/16 bolts that you have to remove. On this side over here, there is a 3/8 shoulder bolt at the very bottom of the tank that holds it onto the engine. That bolt has to come out as well. And be careful, because there is a spacer that goes between the fuel tank and the engine. As the bolt slides through, fuel tank fits into that place right there, screws it to the engine. So now that allows the fuel tank to be pulled up and out of the way and set off to the side. You don't even have to unscrew, or you don't even have to take off the fuel line if you don't want to. Right here is another 5/16 headed bolt that holds the oil dipstick tube to the blower housing. That's the part we're trying to remove, is the blower housing. And you can pull up and twist that little piece just to get it out of the way of the blower housing. In fact, let's just go ahead and remove it. On the bottom of this piece there's an O-ring that seals the oil into the engine. So before you put this thing back together, you want to make sure you wipe this entire area off real good, get it free of dirt, so that way it won't leak into the future. So now we can remove the blower housing itself. On the back side here there are 2 3/8 headed bolts, and on the front side there are 2 3/8 headed bolts that has to be removed before this blower housing can be lifted off. And since I have other maintenance to do, I'm going to go ahead and pull my air filter cover out of the way. And my air filter. So now the blower housing should come off the engine as such. and you can check the dogs that come out of this thing. Make sure they're all still in good shape. The spring seems to be in pretty good shape still, so we don't have no need to remove this pulley piece on the inside. Now, I was in the lawn and garden industry for about 18-20 years, a couple of years of school plus 18 years actual service, and I bought one of these little holders here. Now, you probably don't have one if you only do this once or twice in your life, but I just happen to have it. It comes in pretty handy because you can just lay your blower housing inside of it and it'll lock it into place for you and hold it, so you can actually do some maintenance. So what we want to do is we want to unspool this rope all the way, what rope is left inside of it anyway. And you can put a little screwdriver down in here between the fins and the pulley and let it rest against that. And that will allow you to get in here and get a hold of what's left of that little rope, pull it out, and cut the end of it off, and you can pull it completely out of there. What you want to do before you put the new rope in is you want to make sure this pulley has been tightened as much as it can go, so it'll pull the rope as much as you can. So we're going to go ahead and tighten it all the way up by hand. It still needed a few turns. You hear it there, it stopped. So the rope pull hole, get my hand out of the way, the rope pull hole is over on this side. The rope entrance is over here on this side. I want to let this off one revolution so it doesn't completely tighten up that spring every single time the rope is pulled. So we'll let it off all the way around one time, and you want to line the hole of the pulley up to the hole of the blower housing, then drop in your holder again to hold it in place. Now we can feed in a new rope through this hole in the blower housing, through the hole in our pulley, and tie it off. Now you have to measure the diameter of the old rope before you can put a new rope in, because if you get too big of a rope, this won't work properly. So I've gone to Stein's and I picked up some new rope. The original manufacturer, Briggs Stratton, sells replacement rope. You can purchase the original replacement rope that fits this blower housing from Briggs Stratton or whoever carries original Briggs Stratton parts, and it'll usually cost you about the same amount as this roll of Stein's replacement rope. This replacement rope is a 100-foot spool, so I can do several mowers or weed eater or whatever else I need to do for less money, and Stein's makes or resells or whatever they do a pretty decent product. I've used it for several years and never had any complaints. So I'm going to run this rope through the blower housing and into the pulley, and then I'll tie my knot on the back side as such. Make sure it's good and tight, because you don't want this to come out again. And you can pull a little pressure on the rope, take out your holder, and let this pulley pull back in the rope. And that should be plenty of rope left over on this spool to get done what I need to do. So now we'll go back over the mower and reassemble. Okay, before I put the blower housing back on, there's something I want to show you. That on the bottom of the blower housing there's this little guide right here. This hooks into your top piece, your actual rope pull mechanism, or the blower housing. This is an extension of it down below. So there's two prongs on this side, one prong on this side that stick up like a fork, and you slide the blower housing in between that whenever you hook all this stuff back up. A lot of people miss that and they have issues with it because it lays right against the governor rod and against the governor spring itself, and it can cause some very major havoc when it comes to engine speed. Too fast or too slow, it doesn't govern any, and it'll really be a problem. So I'll reassemble this and be right back. Okay, everything's back together. I still haven't put on the air cleaner or this top cover just yet because the big spool won't fit through the plastic cover for this. But I wanted to show you this first. So now you've got all kinds of rope sticking out of here because we've got it tied to a 100-foot spool of rope. To set one of these, normally what we would do would go ahead and pull it up against it just a little bit, wrap it around this little pulley, bring it up to about where you want this thing to be, and cut it off right there. This way it'll at least have enough tension on it all the time to keep it from the handle from hanging saggy or things of that nature. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. That's just going to take a little snip. So after you got it snipped off and burned, and before you put it into your handle, don't forget about your plastic cover. Run it through there first. Up through your eyelet, then you can run it into your handle. Make sure it's a good and tight knot. You can snap your plastic piece back into place. And there we go. I hope you like this episode. I know it's not your normal machining video that I normally post, but I do all kinds of things here. Hopefully this will save you a couple of bucks into the future, and it'll give you a little project to do when there's nothing else going on in the shop. If you like what you've seen so far, please subscribe to my channel, and you can always check me out on Facebook. Just follow the link. Thanks for watching.